a second. That's not Matt Cameron. That's Richard, my craziest friend. My
craziest friend!
Richard Stuverud is playing drums for my favorite band. So who is Richard Stuverud? I forgot to turn. So who is Richard Stuverud, and what do people mean when they talk about things? It's funny you ask, and the timing could not be any better. Last week I sat down with Richard over Zoom to discuss his beautiful brand new album, Hummingbird, among many other things, so I'm just going to leave it at that and let you figure out what those many other things are. I will link to this, of course, in the description. And super duper duper special thanks to Rachel, Steve, and Nina. I'm gonna link to Steve and Nina's YouTube channel where you can watch the whole performance of the, the Lucan that you saw at the beginning. Without any further ado, I hope you enjoy my conversation with Richard Stuverud.
It's great to see you again. It's been since January of 21, I know, because I went to check on our last video and see how it did, and I looked very different, and you looked very the same.
Right. Great to see you. Looking good.
Great to see you as well. Hey, listen. First things first, we got to take care of this. Kara says hello. I just spoke with her.
Great. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's in Los Angeles to see you know who, of course.
Yeah.
Hey, good cup. Look at that. What is it? What's it got? What's the nutrition fact?
Let's see. We've got 300% creativity.
Nice.
0% off key. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, can't be done.
A little overdone on the 1,000% talent, but what are you gonna do?
I like it. Second thing second, I want you to put a number to this now. How many cats is too many cats?
How many cats?
Yeah, how many cats is too many?
Oh, you got me there. One.
Okay, that's what I thought you were gonna say.
Yeah.
Listen, I meant to say this to you last time we met, and I kicked myself 100 times for not saying it because I didn't tell you the role that you unwittingly played in my life.
Oh, wow.
And that is to say that when I was 12, I'd never heard a rock song in my entire life, didn't know what it was. But all my friends told me that I should buy Vitology, because that's what you just do what your friends say when you don't know. So I went and I bought my first rock album, and I'd been listening to like 5-piece brass bands. That was my thing.
Nice.
As a trumpet player. And I put on Vitology, and it wasn't really for me. Very different, very different thing. But but determined to make my friends like me. Friends. I kept listening, and the first song that I ever fell in love with, the song that essentially set me on the path of the thing that I do right now, I'm sure you know what I'm going to say, was Nothing Man. It was the first song that I liked. And I know you had some part in giving birth to Nothing Man, so I just wanted to share that with you and to thank you for having anything at all to do with that. So yeah.
That was a great experience. When Jeff had called me to just do, we usually just do like just the two of us. Rarely is there more than just that. And show up the studio, and all of a sudden Eddie comes in. I'm like, well, hello. And this was like, 93. So it was before Vitology. And I was really surprised. And, I'd met him a couple of times, and, it was all good. And I'll just never forget, he had his typewriter. We were jamming on the basics of, the feel, the 3/4 feel. And he just like got the lyrics. It was the fastest I've ever seen anybody work. It was really incredible. And then he sang the vocal track live, and of course this was just a demo, but it was just like pretty astonishing because like I was so surprised they wrote the lyrics so quickly, and my drum part was super simple, like 3/4 waltz time, and it was like my headphone mix was just like incredible, and I'm like, whoa, I'm almost falling out of time, like so surprised at like just what he came up with. But the funny story, Jeff, just to finish that, he mentioned that the band was just going to kind of, just keep it in his back pocket. And Brendan O'Brien, when he heard the demo, he was like, "You guys have to record this." And so then, that Dave Abraziz was in the band then, and we hear that final version. But what was cool on the Vitology box set, they included that demo version. So it's kind of cool, the stripped down version. So very, very cool.
I have heard that version, and I was wondering if that was you, and now I know it is. So I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it even much more now. Your album is lovely. What's the right word? I commend you. I'm a little jealous of your ability to have the patience and the drive to make an album, because this is no small thing to put a bunch of songs together with some amount of cohesiveness, and to actually follow through with it. And since you've put out 2 albums since I've known you in the last year and 4 months, I've put out 1 song. So there. So I asked you this last time, but people change, and thoughts are different on a day-to-day basis. But how do you get through the process? At what, you can answer any, or take this in your own way, but at what point do you sit down and say it's time to make an album? And how do you start getting through it? Because there's a lot of people involved in this one.
Yeah.
In the liner notes, and how many text messages do you have to send? And how do you get people in the room?
Well, the funny thing is, to answer that, this is going to sound strange, but I kind of feel like I'm constantly working on the like what we call the album or the product, because as soon as I wrapped up Memories in Kodachrome, I just kind of kept things going. And of course, there's always songs that are kind of like, okay, put this on the shelf for a little while. One thing that I have been doing during the pandemic is going through the back catalog a little bit. And because after this, Hummingbirds have a 7-inch single that Jeff Ament plays bass and guitar, and Kurt Block from Seattle, Fastbacks. So that single, and the 7-inch single, those songs I wrote back in 2003. Like we're going back. And so what's interesting is what might be perceived as like this constant work ethic, there is a kind of strange process to like going back in the past and like trying to figure out what's worthy of like putting the extra elements to bring it forward. And I'm so grateful for all the musicians that have played on Hummingbirds and Memories of Kodachrome. And so I just feel like the luckiest drummer on the planet, just to be able to like, dive into that world. But then there is this songwriter side that's always been there. And so I really feel fortunate that I've been able to like combine the two. So it's been pretty amazing, in that regard.
And when you go to play live, because I know you do here and there, how do you choose the arrangement for the night? Is it who's available? Who do you want? Do you play solo ever?
So the live thing I did do for the release of Hummingbirds. I did put together a band. The guitarist Neil Walter in LA. He's done most of the guitar. I mean, he's featured on a few tunes on this, but he's been just like really integral in like we're always collaborating, with a little bit of distance. And so he was sort of like the first guitarist idea, like, okay, and he dialed the songs in. And one fortunate thing about working at the School of Rock Berkeley, I was able to get a couple of multi-instrumentalists to back me. So that came together pretty quickly. And my theory was I like the idea of trying to do the record as close as possible. I know a lot of musicians are hey, let's let this evolve into something different live, which I'm totally into. But I feel like if you spend the time, and I drive a lot of engineers nuts. It's like I call it Brian Wilson-itis. Like just like, okay, what else can we throw at this song? I don't know. I guess I just get excited and indulgent, like all these overdubs. And so in that sense, it's like it makes sense to like try and at least get those parts covered. And the guys I put together, were great. We did like a record release, a couple of one-offs in the Bay Area, and that went great. It was pretty cool. And I was singing lead from behind the kit. So I had fancied the idea of like getting a drummer and just kind of getting my Robin Zander fantasy like front man. And I just thought, well, a lot of my heroes, drumming heroes, are also singing. So, why not?
Yeah, you don't see that a lot. And I always
Right.
tell people when my students ask me how do I learn to play and sing at the same time, I
Mhm.
always say that's like becoming a drummer, because drummers have 4 things to do at some time, right? They've
Right.
got 2 feet and 2 hands to do stuff with.
Right.
You got 2 things to do as a guitar, and then you're adding the words, the pitch, and when, right?
Yeah.
So you are now doing 7 things at the same time, and
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
just crazy. That's crazy.
yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Some of the bands I play in, one in particular up here in the Bay Area called Slow Phase. It's just a 3-piece, pretty heavy rock. And I share lead vocals with the bass player. And that was a really good, like doing that over the last few years has been really like talk about like, Bonham, Bill Ward, intensity, and then trying to also sing. I was like, okay, hold on.
Also
So,
sing. That's right. And
yeah.
I also want to commend. I've got copious notes about songs here. I
Oh,
want to
okay.
I want to talk more generally, because I want to encourage people to. It's not going to mean anything if they haven't heard it yet, right?
Mhm.
So I'll say a
Right.
few things specifically, but I want to commend. Speaking of all the overdubs, I mean, you do it exactly to my I'll just say preference, because I can't think of the word, but
Mhm.
you fill every spot without doing too much, and
Right.
commend, and they're good ideas too. There's an I okay, as at my what I do for work mostly is I figure out how to play songs, and
Mhm.
I have now put on YouTube 1,222 videos about how
Oh,
to play a
nice.
song.
Great.
Yeah, so that's what I can't listen to a song without hypothetically reverse engineering it. You
Oh,
understand?
right, right.
I could be wrong when I take a guess about, well, this part was clearly the inspiration, and then this part got filled in, whatever. But I like to play that game. The point is, I can spot an uninspired song from 50 miles away, and there's not one uninspired song on this record.
Nice.
So I just wanted to say that, and your engineers are very talented too.
Right.
How do
For sure.
you? So let's go back. How does it go? First of all, how did Jeff trick you into becoming friends with him? And second of all,
Yeah.
at what point do you go, well, this would be a good song for Jeff, and this would be a good song for Neil? I mean, one
Oh,
bass player, guitar player, but
right.
like, yeah,
Well, I think that process actually, I might it might be more about taking advantage of the time and place, because a lot of times Jeff would invite me out to, his home studio in Montana with the intention of, just playing drums on his material. But he's so gracious and hospitable. And, the song Sweet Time, basically, he decided to run into Missoula to get, go on an errand, pick up some groceries. And he was like, hey, if you got a song idea, go ahead and lay down the foundation. I'll come back and, you know, uh, lay down a base, and we'll have lunch and carry on. And so, I took him to his word on that. So while he was gone, I just kind of cooked up this, basic part, and it worked out. Yeah, the history with Jeff is really interesting. Pre Pearl Jam, when he was in uh, Green River used to rehearse next to the Fastbacks. So we do have a pretty long history. And when I was in the War Babies first deal on Columbia, um, that was just before Pearl Jam. And we were sort of going through bass players, and I had asked Jeff, "Hey, want to come in and step in?" And when he did that, he and I would show up to rehearsals early and just start jamming. And that's when I realized that how incredibly talented Jeff is, and just with like all of the fascination with funk, some old school funk stuff. So we would just lock in, and I think that was like the beginning of that playing relationship. And so and then in regards to getting other musicians, I think like a lot of times too, I would take advantage of like the song "Feeling Lucky." Dave from Slow Phase, he's just great at the wah, and it was like I kind of hear a little something with this riff, like, because you have to understand, Ryan, when I play guitar, I'm playing left-handed, open tuning, and doing chords like this. I mean,
Right.
It's really embarrassing to a real guitar player. But I've written so many songs that way with that kind of open. But when I bring songs into real guitarists, it's like, it's a pretty awesome thing. And
So is that you playing guitar on Feeling Lucky?
I'm doing a backing rhythm, that's the closest I can get, kind of like a psychedelic strumming vibe, where
right.
The wah lick is more prominent,
Yeah,
so
yeah, but I did notice that it's 4 major chords. It's D, A, G, and F, and I noticed that. So my guess was that it was an open tuning, and that was you playing the guitar.
Right.
Yeah. That's awesome. Now, what? Speaking of Sweet Time, lyrically, your lyrics are like not needlessly complex. That's one of my biggest pet peeves in life. Music, anything.
Right.
I can't think of another example right now, but when things are needlessly complex, your lyrics are clearly from the heart, and you don't use words when you don't have to, and in Sweet Time, there's like 3 lines of words in that whole song.
Right.
When you, and I love that. I love it when you can look at the lyrics and they're this big, but it's a whole song. I love that.
Right.
But when you say and it could be either or both. When you say I need more time, do you mean years or hours in the day?
All of the above.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I was listening when I recorded that. I was listening to Lightning Hopkins and and the Verve, which is really, you couldn't get more
right
opposite. And so I feel like there is a little Lightning Hopkins tune, "Needin' Time," and so I it's kind of like it was influenced by that, and then "Space and Time." That's a Richard Ashcroft, kind of like this more psychedelic. Yeah, I would say personally, if I were to critique my own songwriting, I would say that lyrics are the most challenging. I do feel like I might be borrowing and extrapolating certain elements for aesthetic purposes, but and I'll do that as a drummer too. I'll be like, that drum feels a little Charlie Watts, or that's a little Ringo. But I feel like with rock and roll, I believe that I think it's is something that is a kind of natural thing, but to be aware of it and to not go too far with it. I just recently did a session for a great singer-songwriter named Greg Griffin. He's from Manchester, and he had this tune that just reminded me of Street Fighting Man. And then Charlie Watts comes in with that doom, 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 doom. And I naturally just threw that in there, and I stopped you know, like a quarter of the way through the take. I'm like, hey, let's start this again. I actually realized that is such a blatant Charlie
Right.
Watts move, and just backed away from that. So it's something I feel like, you know, I have to, as a songwriter and even session player, to be aware of, you know, try to find your own voice in that plethora of inspiration, you know. So
Yeah, well, nothing. Yeah, I agree with you, and I think you had a healthy appreciation there for nothing's created in a vacuum, right?
Mhm. Exactly.
Okay, all right. All in could be the second runner, the first runner up for Friends theme song. That one
Yeah,
was
right.
upbeat and fun, and I'm reverse engineering you and your songwriting, and I'm just
Mhm.
taking a wild guess. But I feel like there's probably you're not going to allow yourself to have 4 Friends theme songs on your album.
Right.
Did you exhaust your Friends theme song category
I,
with that song?
I think so. I think so.
And
How
did
did you
you
how
go
did
ahead?
you how did you think, I know you appreciate time signatures, and you know, that one was really interesting
Well,
because
I got it. You gotta measure a 7 followed by a measure of 6, right?
yeah, and then a chorus and four.
A chorus in 4, right? Which also did you redeem the aforementioned aesthetic of that song by putting it in 13?
I think I just stumbled upon it, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, like, with my hack guitar playing when I'm writing, I feel that the drummer in me kind of steps in and might try and just to make it a little more interesting. So I think, like, I can. That's where some of those odd times come from, and then you have to be really careful because, you know, you go too far with it, then you kind of lose the. I mean, personally, I think you kind of lose the essence of just like straightforward kind of.
You can't tap your foot to it any longer at some point.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. And I would like to commend whoever plays guitar on that track, because I'll tell you what I don't like. I like things about Tool, but I'll tell you what I don't like about Tool. Sometimes I feel like the guitar riffs, they can't do anything with it because it's in the most bananas set of time changes.
Yeah,
And so the guy's just kind of playing something, and I don't feel like it was inspired. It's more just like hanging on for dear life, right?
right, right.
And I love that 13 beat guitar lick that he did. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah,
That's
nice,
all I have
nice.
to say. It's
Yeah,
not too much, not too little. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And speaking of simple lyrics, life's a little bit sad, a little bit happy.
yeah,
What were you thinking about when you?
yeah. Well, you know, again, I am the luckiest singer songwriter drummer because that song also was a collaborative, because on the first record, Memories, part of that record was a collaboration with a lyricist, right? And so this particular song is basically a little bit of a collaboration, and then some of my own stuff, because it was just sort of like fragments of lyrics. Um, so, you know, I was kind of it was almost like a Frankenstein, you know, process with that one lyrically, but a little bit sad, a little bit happy. You know, I kind of feel like on a personal level, there's an aspect of being a musician that is there's a kind of cathartic therapy. And, you know, I'm treating like everything like the recording process, the writing process, and then somehow it kind of it ends up a lot of my lyrics will kind of go there. And I think it's a personal thing that I'm trying to maybe work through some, you know, some elements of, you know, just like not having a existential crisis at every turning point. But
Right.
I feel like the song, when the song evolves, it really is an interesting thing to kind of reflect on. You know, it's almost like having a conversation with myself, but it's a healthy conversation, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think I think the way I feel about it is I'm not writing the song. I am helping the song write itself, because you
Mhm.
come in with an idea, but the song wants something else, and
Oh yeah.
you just have to let it happen.
Hey,
Yeah.
you're gonna love this. So that session I was telling you about with the British singer-songwriter, the engineer's fantastic guitarist, really gets a nice, aesthetic with guitar. He was checking out the sound on a matchless, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Telly through a matchless.
Yeah.
And he starts playing C and then like going from C to B, like an augmented B, but you still hear the C chord.
I
wonder what that would be.
We can figure this out. We got this. If
Yeah,
we go from we just do it literal here, it's bar chord style.
Yeah.
And then you've got the E on top, right? And then an augmented B. Okay, I was gonna say a sus B has the E still in there, but that's not what you said. You said augmented, which is sharp 5. So you get the 5 is the G, and then if you augment the B, you get plus this stuff. It's probably a different voicing, but
that's it. That's exactly it. So he was just going C, B, right? And he's getting that. I'm like, I'm just a freak like that. I go, hey, Eric Ryan's his name. I'm like, Eric, can you just keep doing that? And I voice memoed it. It's a 2-chord thing. And I just wrote a whole song around that inspiration. And, I just feel like that's wild. That's something that you just don't expect it. And I instantly came up with a, vocal melody, and the lyrics came real quick. And so that'll be on the next one.
Oh, good. I can't wait to hear that one now, knowing the story. You got to work with your son. Am I saying the right thing there on this record?
Yes, I am so just beyond words. Like that joy is unbelievable. It was pretty natural. He's making his way with piano, and he was involved with boy choir for quite a while. So a little bit of rock and roll from dad, and then getting that proper structure. He's just fantastic in the studio. And there's a song I wrote for my wife, "This Big Love," as a birthday present, and it was amazing to bring him in. And we literally did a duet live, and we got it in 2 takes. So he's at one corner of the studio, I'm at the other. We got our lyrics, we're exchanging lines, and it was just like the most rewarding feeling I've ever felt in the studio. I mean, even the engineer, he's got kids, and he was like, wow, I think if I just did that with my son, I might start crying right now.
That's amazing. That's
That
amazing.
was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, my kid, so obviously I'm a guitar teacher, but I also, feel like people need to have their own idea to do stuff, especially children, right? You can introduce them to, you can put it in front of them, but you can't make them do it. Right.
Right.
And my kid's 10, and 2 weeks ago, he just out of nowhere, asked me if I could teach him to play guitar.
Yes.
So I know what you're talking about. And he's really freaking good. He's playing My House. Boom, 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 boom. That dumb Flow Rider song.
Nice.
He's doing a really good job. So I feel your joy is the point.
That's the thing, right? Because it's like, even he was playing drums early on, but I really tried to tread lightly on it, because it can be this thing where it's like, if it's too forced, they're gonna back away. But for the song for my wife, I did have to go, hey, it's gonna be for her birthday, it'll be really special, because he's 15 now, so that feeling of his independence is kind of coming out, so,
And speaking of him and drums, I loved the line in Whole Wide World, let's go play some drums.
Yeah.
I thought it was really well placed, and just like whatever's going on, let's go play some drums. It'll be good.
Yeah, and that tune, that was one of the early sessions I went out to record with Jeff when Alexander, my son, was like 3. And I had the intention, and I still do. My wife is like, you need to finish your kids' record. But that song actually is I was considering that for a kids' record. And I felt like, okay, Jeff's on this one. He's rocking bass. It was, you know, it's an exciting, you know, power pop number. But I just felt like since my son Alexander was on the mellow tune with a lead vocal, I kind of felt like this will give it some symmetry, you know, and we'll rock out. Um, but yeah, that line was pretty funny. You know, like I think one of my friends was kind of questioning the drum fill, not questioning its like delivery, but just like the breakdown in that spot. And then they realized like, oh wait, the line right before that really sets it up. Let's go play some drums, and then you know, it's pretty funny.
That's right. And then the drum fill happens. Yeah, that's
There
right.
you go.
100%. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. All right, who's a regular?
Well, um, that's basically one of my favorite Paul Westerberg compositions. So big Replacements fan, and I'll never forget when that record came out. Tim, you know, I just thought like, you know, I wasn't too into the really early Replacement days. I mean, I've always respected them, you know, immensely, but I think Tim or Let It Be and Tim were just like huge records. And I just thought it was genius how they just ended, you know, Tim with that song, just stripped down, you know, acoustic. I think it was acoustic, cello, and then Westerberg, you know. So I felt like I would give that a bash.
Oh, okay. Help me out here. So that's his song.
That's his song.
I
And
understand. Okay, excellent. Yeah.
yeah, what I was doing, you might appreciate this too, as a musician. I went through this phase where I would just try and learn songs that you wouldn't normally hear on piano. Like I've been kind of experimenting, you know, like, and that was one of them. And I just did, you know, just a video, low key, just at this out of tune piano here in the living room. And what was funny is I sent that video to Neil, you know, who's, you know, helping me with guitars and production, and he put that video, the audio of that video in a stereo track, sent it back to me. I started adding more things at the studio I've been tracking at, and it's a really interesting process with that one. And then just built things up, and the original version doesn't have any drums or much more instrumentation than cello and piano actually, but it was really cool to kind of find a way to kind of just, you know, give it a little something different, but still retain the original, you know, spirit, you know.
Amazing.
So.
I love Richard. I love your album. You know, I appreciate that you sent me. I appreciate that you sent me the CD because I could just stream it. And to be frank,
Yeah.
that's how I listened to it because I own the in the car and my wife took the car. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I know CDs this day and age almost seem, you know, it's sort of like, you know, cars don't have CD players, but I've been thinking of it as like a promotion tool. I will have vinyl. I don't know if you get into.
Oh, count me in. I like to. The end of my sentence was when it's the guy who had something to do with you getting into music. This is a very special thing to me, and it goes in my special place.
Yeah.
So
you
yeah,
go. Yeah, I'll have vinyl by the end of August. It's been a slow process, waiting game with all of that, but
impressing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You let me know. I will buy your vinyl. And we have one more piece of business here. I think I forgot last time, but this is I call this the meeting of the craziest friends. So you are a craziest friend.
Okay.
And we have to adjourn with the craziest friends theme song.
Okay.
All you have to do is sing the craziest friends after I do my piece. Ready?
Okay, you're crazy. What is the line?
The craziest friends.
The craziest friends. Okay.
Yes, you are a craziest friend. We are craziest friends. Yeah. Okay. So you'll know exactly when to do it. Ready? It's gonna go like this. Undeniably, most decidedly,
one of your most incredible crazy friends.
The craziest friends.
The craziest friends.
That's
Yeah.
okay. I'll send you a track. You can practice along to it for next time.
Okay, there you go. The craziest friends. Okay.
We can do it. We can even do a metal version or something. We should just record. Yeah. Richard, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me, Ryan.
Oh, absolutely. And send me any links you want to go in the thing, and I'll put this out soon.
Sounds great.
I hope
Excellent. Great talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Say hi to Oakland for me, and have a great weekend.
All right, you too. You as well. All right.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye. Cheers.
Thank you for joining me for that. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. And at the end here, I must extend a super duper 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 special thanks to our channel mom, Kara, in Canada, without whom none of this would have happened. Kara, thank you for all of the things you do for us selflessly behind the scenes. And if you're still watching, I think we got to have a follow-up with Richard about you know what. So leave a comment to that effect and I will hit him with some numbers and we'll see if we can make it happen. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.